So let me dive into this picture right here. It's hard to see. This is a Jim Quick event I know that Glenn was at about 5 years ago. And it was an amazing event, and this is my last part of my talks, and I'll explain this. And I'm going to briefly go over this because I think for any one of you to become a keynoter, you have to really understand what it is specifically for you. So I'm going to give you some general stuff, and there's a few other keynoters that are in here. So my very, very first big interview at one of the biggest radio stations in America was called WLS. It was a 100,000 watt clear station. Now, in the radio industry, what that means is that station number, 890 AM, is not shared by any other stations in the whole United States. No one else has that number. So you could hear it across the United States. It was a beacon. It was a broadcast monster. And I walked into the general manager of the station, and he said to me, I'm going to give you an interview. I've heard you're good, but I have one test. And the test is, I have a 5-minute hourglass right here. I'm going to flip it around and say one word, and for the next 5 minutes, you have to entertain me, inform me, and keep me connected to you. That's it. If it works, you got the job. All right. Takes the hourglass, flips it around, bam, and he says, sand. And for 5 minutes, I had to talk about sand. I got the gig. But what I learned was being a great speaker isn't just about knowledge, it's about improv. Improv is so important. You need to be on your toes to be a great speaker because who knows what's going to happen? Who knows who's going to be in the audience? Who knows if something doesn't work? Our camera, our projector didn't work before this presentation. I was going to improv it all. I was ready. But improv is super important. Matter of fact, if you get a chance, I would highly recommend if you can. Matter of fact, Big Mike and I are talking about one of your sons going to Second City to do improv. Learn improv. Every serious corporation sends their executives to improvisation school. Okay, so improv. So this leads me to this. Who here is a great speaker? I mean, great. So let me start. An 8 plus. 8 plus. 8 plus? 10? 10? You're a 10. No, 8 You're a 10. You're not a 10. Who's a 10? Who's a 9? Who thinks they're the best? So you think you're that good? What's your name? Because I can't see. Who is that? Tom. Tom, come here. Hey, Tom. How are you? Good? Good. You're a great speaker. Yeah. I'm going to give you the mic. And what we're going to do is we're going to do something called PowerPoint karaoke. I'm going to put 7 slides up, and you got to engage with us on those 7 slides.
Okay.
Okay?
How long is this going to be total?
Let's talk for 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay, so how much time?
You got 30 seconds per each slide.
Okay.
Okay? And here's your topic. You ready? Your topic is that.
Grow your business.
So think about it. And I'm just going to change the slides periodically. You're going to improv it.
Okay.
Great speakers can do this.
Do we have a timer?
It's in my head.
Okay.
It's in my head. Just got to look behind you and get ready to go. You tell me when to go.
Go ahead.
Talk.
Who here does not want to grow their business? Who here wants to grow their business? Exactly. So I appreciate you coming here to learn about growing your business, even though I know very little about growing a business. So I'm going to tell you what I know and mostly what I don't know. And the first thing I know about growing a business is you have to prospect. Every business comes down to next stop. Next love stop. I am in the midst of a love stop right now. I broke up with my girlfriend 2 months ago, and I'm just on the verge of trying to figure out how do I fall in love again. And because I've been resistant to it, nothing but bad shit is coming my way. I went on a first date 2 weeks ago. Didn't we just switch to? Oh. Wow. Next loves. So in my business, I've found that when I am self-interested, it fucks everything up. It fucks everything up. But when I have the other person's interest at heart, then good things happen. And that's one of the best way to grow my business. When I started in my own business 26 years ago, I wanted to have a fast start. I just wanted to make things happen, and I would cut corners, and I would do whatever I had to do. But what I learned was the successful ones are the ones that look at it as a marathon. They're not in a hurry. They take their time, because guess what? The clients that they developed in the first couple of years of their business are still clients 20 years ago, but they didn't realize it. So people who are into data analytics in businesses, that's great. You can look at any number, any scatter chart, any matrix, and you can figure out where to go and take your business. But in the end, it comes down to where is your heart? Where do you want to take your business? And it starts with investing in yourselves. It starts with coming to meetings like this, comes with getting up early on Saturday morning, making the drive, doing what the other people don't want to do. So that's why we're all here. And if we, I'm one of my mantras is, it is my natural and ordained right to have money. My father was incredibly frugal and cheap and scarcity-oriented and an alcoholic. Lived a very small life when he could have had a big life. But I look at, and he had a terrible relationship with money. When he died, he owed $700,000 in personal loans that I had to clean up when I was 19. Because my mother died when I was 14. So both of cancer. So I was 19, having to clean up my father's mess, and I had to decide, what is my relationship with money going to be? And at first I started saying, did I want to be benevolent and give away money and be charitable? Or did I want to be a prick about money?
Good job. That was awesome. That was awesome. It really was. That was awesome. So in Second City, you have to do this. This is part of the program in Second City, is to do PowerPoint karaoke. And you have to follow through, and you practice over and over again. Go off and do a Google on PowerPoint karaoke, and you can see comedians do this all the time to get into it. So do executives. But you did a great job, Tom. Great job. All right, let's talk. So these are the top paid speakers in the world right now, on an average, okay? So this is what they're getting for an hour speech, okay? This is what they're getting, just so you have an idea what they're doing on a regular basis. And these are the people that are up on stage, 1 hour, if you're in an event and you see them, this is what they're generating, okay? It's really interesting to see them. Most of them are politicians. Most of them are. And here's our top row up there. Bill and Hillary, Alan Greenspan, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Got it right there, Ben Bernanke. Obama's actually donating a lot of his time lately. And number one, like he spoke yesterday, $1.5 million. That's there, the top speakers. That's them. That's the list. That there is where most of us will never be. Period. You won't be. These are consistent. Because when you are speaking, if you're a best-selling author, it's about $20K a speech. Best-selling author.
Can you contextualize the best-selling author part?
Yeah, Chris Voss.
Hi.
Right? No, Chris is getting, I speak with Chris. Okay? Chris is getting that right there at base.
You quoted me a higher anchor price.
I know, but I'm saying what his base is. You can negotiate with him. Just letting you know, you can.
Best-selling author where?
In the United States.
I mean, like
New York Times.
New York Times.
New York Times. Average author, 5 to 12. If you're somewhat known, 2 to 5. And average speaking fees is about 0 to 2,000. That's after it takes time. Okay? So let me tell you a little about people that come here. Now these speakers all have spoken more than 3 times at Metal. Some pop around often. Brett King, 60. Mike Walsh, Salim, Pablos. That's what they're getting. They're making $1 to $2 million a year speaking. Mike Walsh, his life, if you want to follow him on Instagram, he's fun. He owns homes. He doesn't live in them. He stays at the Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons. Every 3 days, he's doing a different speech somewhere, and him and his wife travel around the world, first class all the time, and that's what he does. He speaks around the world. He's an incredible speaker. But that's what it is. Salim's from X Prize and Singularity. Brett King wrote the book Bank 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. And Pablos, and Mike Walsh is around next generation futurism. But these are guys that come here. So every time we get a solid speaker, most people don't realize that they're $20 to $50 to $60,000 level. So when they sit here and give us their time, and people are, I'm not really into that speaker, you should come here because they're at the elite level, and they're here to talk to us, and it doesn't cost us anything other than coming to Metal. Hard to get these people, but they're here. I generate a majority of my revenue off of speaking. I generally do maybe 3 to 4 speeches a month. And how speeches work is this. I'm represented, you can see up on top, by Cal Entertainment. You may have met Chris. A bunch of us are represented there in our group, including Chris Voss, Nolan. We're represented by Chris.
Soon to be Tom.
Tom will be in that list. So when you go to my page looks something like this. This is about who I am. So people go to this page and they give Chris a call and they say, hey, we'd really like to have Ken speak. So I would get then either on the high end about a 30, low end 5 if it's local, like I'll go do a talk. I'm going to do a talk on Thursday next week right downtown LA. They give me $5K. It's easy. And on an average, I'm doing about 12.5. On an average. That's what I'm getting. I'd say, hey, give me 10 plus. I'm happy to do it. So what I do is I get something like this. I just got this the other day. This is a $20,000 gig. It's not sexy, which I'll talk about a little later on, but that's what I get. I'm prepared. I get it. And I know that I'm going to go off and do a talk. Now, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry about that. So when I do a talk, they're on my page. These are the different talks I do. So I have a series of talks that I have perfected, that I have rehearsed, that I can wow the audience, and I can customize it specifically around them. So if you go watch my YouTube videos, you'll never see the same talk, even if I've given the same topic, it's always different. I customize it specifically for them, and that's why I'm sought after constantly, because my talks are always different. So if one meeting planner books me, they know that I'll sound different in every one of their other groups. So these are just different topics. Generally, a speaker, you should have 6 different topics that you have managed to really perfect, that you've practiced over and over again, and you sound freaking awesome to do it. So those are a few of the ones. And quite frankly, the irony is, I actually tested this one here about 2 months ago, and now I've been booked 13 times on this one right here. 13 times. I have one that's $27,000 for this topic that I taught myself here. So I'm constantly always trying to evolve new talks. Have to. Something that you must have is a reel. I don't think Chris Kamen's here. Chris made a reel for me. We're modifying it, we're enhancing it, but this is what it's about a 1.5-minute reel, what it looks like for me.
I was always told the A's and B's will work for the C's and D's. I was a straight C student. Building something great doesn't require an Ivy League education. Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg were college dropouts. It's all about connecting.
Find a way to come together, disrupt one another, and create greatness together.
Throughout my lifetime, I worked on multi-billion-dollar projects with some of the most accomplished leaders. Besides that, I've interviewed more than 10,000 of the biggest change makers on the planet. Understanding the art of connecting and seeing where the future is going to take us is a talent I've perfected. Small little disruption made a big impact. I love this idea of being an epicenter of opportunity. It's all about how your company, your institution, your government is about growth, not just revenue, but the culture of knowing what's next. Taking the ideas of all the people that I've spent time with and centering around their personal philosophies. Bring people together to help each other out. I have what might be considered a magical formula that can radically change the way your group thinks, acts, reacts, and grows. Understanding your superpowers, identifying your enemies, and seeing the impossible as possible. The habitat of the world is evolving into something unrecognizable with the advent of AI, blockchain, social societies, and the new office. It's become critical knowing how to harness these tools to find the next you.
So I posted that a year ago, and from this, which Chris Heyman did an incredible job on, I got probably 20 speaking gigs from it, from one video. Super important to have a great video. Freddie just got a great, Sasha put a video together for you, which is incredible. It takes a lot of time. A lot of time. 2 months, 3 months?
And Sasha's phenomenal.
Hey, Sasha, you here? Sasha is one of the masters. He actually put a deck together for me that raised me a couple $1 million. So I want to ask, and we're just going to go through a bunch of these things. Who would like to be a keynote speaker? I'm just looking at the people. Okay, questions you have to ask. You have to be really honest with yourself. Are you good? A few of you that raised your hand, you're not that good. Doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you need to know you're not that good so you can get good. Because it takes a lot of freaking work to get good. It really does. Marco Tempus, who I believe has the dubious distinction of speaking the most at TED, not TEDx, but TED, to do if you've seen his Tesla talk, the one that he talks about Nikola Tesla, he practiced for 4 months, twice a day for 4 months, just to do that talk every single day. Because he wanted it to sound natural when he did it. Insane practice. Next, this is important. Do you have honest feedback where someone tells you, yeah, you suck, or man, you need to do that better? You need someone to be so honest that it breaks your heart every time they go, but you need to hear it. You need to have that around you, because it can't be you. Because either you're going to be hypercritical on yourself, or you're going to say, yeah, I'm freaking awesome. Can you talk about almost anything like I just showed you? Really important also. Can you? And then last, can you practice for free for years? Because sometimes that's what it takes. Just to get my very first paid gig, it took 2 years. 2 years to get my first paid gig, and I think it was for $500. And I was so excited. It was cash. So let's go over a few tips. Tip 1, know your audience. Every audience is different, and they may not be sexy initially. Like, for example, this one right here, let's go back to this. This audience, if you see what it is, it's C-level executives in the trucking industry. I know, but pay attention to this, It's a nice group. This is what they want to talk about. Hey, it's going to be nice. Look what a hotel it's at, the Four Seasons. Okay, I'm getting $20K. They're going to fly me out their business class. I'll probably get maybe another ticket to take someone else out with, and they'll give me passes for Disneyland or Disney World. It's a pretty good gig, actually. But this right here is the first thing I get knowing the audience. And then I talk to the group. I find out what they want. I ask for their last 3 keynote speakers if I could watch their reels, who they rated to be their highest, who they liked, who they disliked. I look for all of this. So when I write my talk, they go, oh my God, it's as if he read our minds. First thing. Next tip. No PowerPoint or Keynote. Do not touch or do not use, I said us, sorry. Do not use Google Slides or Prezi. Don't ever use these. And the reason why is, even though Prezi looks cool, woo, it doesn't work on everyone's systems. Either does Google Slides. Sometimes there's no connectivity at these places you go to. You might be shocked. I did a talk in Islamabad, and I was all excited. I had all my cool stuff on the cloud. There was no internet where I went.
Just add real quickly that PowerPoint, I don't know that, I haven't found this in Keynote. PowerPoint also has a tool that allows you to rasterize your text, which is also super important because God knows how many times you do a presentation.
They don't have the fonts. They don't have the fonts proper. Most of the time, PowerPoint is much more universal than Keynote, especially when you go outside the United States. But know one of these. Know it. So important. Number 3. Know you're there to teach and educate or entertain. So you're really doing infotainment. That's what you are. You're on stage to say, look at me, and I have some incredible stuff to share with you. I'm going to have you have walkaways with things that you could apply today once you leave here. You're entertaining, you're infotaining. That's what you're doing. Tip 4. It's not about you, it's about them. You know, do not, and try not to use me or I. I learned this in the radio industry a long time ago. In the radio industry, if you say, yeah, I, me, the fans start turning off, and they start turning into fans, and they turn into listeners, and all of a sudden they start turning the dial. You want to use you. How can we all help each other out? How can you change what you're doing? Oh, I like you. That means you're talking to me, not me. So a lot of speakers get up here and they say, I. Yeah, you might be talking to somebody like a Lance Armstrong where an I is important because it is about his story. But most of the time, again, you're being informed and educated. If you remember Alison Levine, the woman that climbed Mount Everest once and couldn't get to the top and she climbed up a second time, she very, very rarely used the word me or I, even in a talk about herself. It's pretty brilliant. And she's a pretty high-profile speaker. Tip 5. Be interactive. First thing I always do is I always ask questions. You notice I do this with you guys all the time. You know, I always point, and what I generally do is this. Hey, what's your favorite animal? And when people raise their hand, I don't call on them. I call on a person sitting next to them with their hand down. Always. Because then I start to realize, or they start to realize, that even if I have my hand up or down, he might pick me. I better listen. And that whole crowd changes from being leaning back to leaning forward because they're engaged and ready and they don't want to embarrass themselves. Interact with that crowd. That crowd is your resource, your tool. You make them part of your talk. When they're part of your talk, things totally change. Tip 6. Practice at least 10 times, at least. See, this presentation here is not your talk. It's your guideline. That's what this is. It's kind of like bullet points. It's to help you keep pace on where you're going. Again, I really would love for you to watch Marco Tempest. What Marco Tempest does, and I know that Helix had a chance to go see Marco at his laboratory in New York. What Marco does is he uses music as his guideline of where he should be in his trick. It's in the background, it's soft, it's gentle, but he hears the music cues to know what he has to do next. He has a guideline. That's what this is for, is a guideline to your story. It is not your story. Problem is, a lot of us use this as the resource. That's wrong. It's your message looking at the crowd. Yes, sir.
So when I created a talk with my work with working with law firms, the 5 habits of successful business development, I booked 5 cities in 5 days. And my 5th day was completely different than the first day. But to do it day after day was really powerful in terms of practice because I was just in it and having to be on. I had to change the speed at which I was able to get good at it.
Makes sense. It makes sense. And eventually you're going to know it even without even looking at it. But you still rehearse it, practice it. And we'll go after questions in a moment. I just want to make sure we're not running too late. 7. Start with a laugh and end with a wow. This is probably one of the most important things I've learned. And if you notice, at the very beginning of every metal talk, I always have something that you go, ha, ha, ha. You know, this one was that sign that says, hey, millions of men will die of stubbornness, right? And no, we won't. Ha, ha, ha. You lean in. There's a reason behind that. The reason why is you want to automatically disarm the audience. And getting them to laugh is your way of disarming. And let me show you my two speakers I love. I love J.J. Abrams, and I love Joel Osteen. And they all have formulas. I want first, watch JJ. This is his first TED Talk back in 2004. Watch what he did.
I want to start today. Here's my thing. Hold on. There we go. Hey. I want to start today talk about the structure of polypeptide.
J.J. Abrams. You're talking about
I get a lot of
Lost.
people asking me in terms.
So he right away kind of threw you over here and you laughed and go, oh, that's really funny. I want to listen a little more. Joel Osteen, he is a freaking master. He gets 60,000 people on a Sunday to come to his church. 60,000. Watch what Joel does. He does the exact same formula. He enters with humor, goes into a story arc, ends it, goes into another story arc. In 30 minutes, he does 3 story arcs. In 30 minutes. Watch Joel.
Well, God bless you. It's a joy to come into your homes. And if you're ever in our area, please stop by and be a part of one of our services. I promise you, we'll make you feel right at home. I like to start with something funny. And I heard about this elderly gentleman. He had a hearing problem his whole life. He went to the doctor and was fitted with this new state-of-the-art hearing aid where he could hear 100%. A few months later, he went back for a checkup. The doctor said, wow, your hearing is perfect. I bet your family is so excited that you can hear again. He said, no, I haven't told my family. I just sit around and listen to the different conversations, and I've changed my will 3 times. Say it like you mean it.
You lean
This
in.
is my Bible.
Right?
I am what it says.
You lean in. Joel, you got me. That was awesome. I can't wait to go tell my friend that joke. They're always clean, they're fun, they're neutral. Joel does that. He starts off that way. Guys, if you could watch what's called a prosperity minister, because that's what he is. He's a prosperity minister. He teaches prosperity. Doesn't talk about negativity in most of his talks. Watch him, and you'll see a master at work. He memorizes everything. He knows where his cues are. He knows who he's going to point to. He knows even when he's going to open his arms up to embrace the audience in a virtual way. He's brilliant. Joel is the master at speaking. Regardless if you're into what he's saying, watch him. End with a wow. So let me tell you about this wow thing that I actually discovered a few years ago. Glenn was at this. And I'm starting to realize that how do I make sure the audience leaves by going, my God, that was incredible. And almost forget everything else I talked about. Because the end was the bomb. Because I know that the audience is just as important as the message. And so I generally work my way to this last slide. We're all nobodies here. Now, I know there might be 1 or 2 somebodies, but we're all nobodies. I feel confident saying that. Everybody else, yeah. Raise your hand if you're a nobody. Come on, raise your hand, raise your hand. Exactly what happens. You know, I'm a nobody, but we're going to become somebodies. Because in my talk, I might talk about Elon Musk. I might talk about Richard Branson. Actually, Bill Dorfman's in one of my talks. I might talk about these people that have achieved greatness and how they went from nobodies to somebodies. And they were comfortable going through that migration and how important it was. And I bring up this picture. This is the 1924 Quantum Mechanics Conference. It's a conference in physics, but it was quantum mechanics. They were getting together. 1924. It's an amazing picture. Because of these 39 people, you only probably know 2 of them in the picture, and it's Albert Einstein and Madame Curie. But what happened at this conference is they started exchanging contact information, addresses. They started to meet, hang out, share ideas. They started to become a community. And within 5 years of this event, of the 39 people, 17 of them won Nobel Peace Prize, or Nobel Prizes. 17 of them. Because they exchanged ideas. They went from nobodies to somebodies. Now again, who's a nobody here? Come on, nobodies. And people would raise their hand. I go, we're all going to become somebodies, right? Let's take a picture like this. I would get the fire marshals to say there's too many people on stage. I got 2,000 people on stage here. I would get people on stage to where it maxed it out. And all of a sudden, what happened? They hang out. They become a community. They go take pictures. They start sharing pictures on social media because they're part of the show. And they use that picture saying, we're going to be somebodies. That's my drop the mic or the wow. You have to tie them all in. Because when you work this direction of a great talk, as I did here at this bomb at the end, you realize that there has to be a story arc. There has to be things that are going on, and then you have to have that change and growth. And if you can make it happen in the talk with the audience, they're part of it. They feel like that talk resonated so much with them because they were part of that talk. So having a great talk isn't really about the thing that you love. It's about the thing you're going to help them love. Because that's what everyone gets confused with. I hear a lot of you guys over here going, yeah, I did this, and I want you to really love it. We may not love it. How about what I love? Remember, it's about them. It's not about you. And that's really hard because most speakers that are not that good, they have too much pride. Erase the pride. Helix did a great talk in Indonesia. It was his first, I think, one of your first talks about being polyamory in a foreign land, all about the idea of love. And the definition of love was different there than it is in the United States. And what Helix did is he literally removed himself. He talked third person as polyamory and really dove into this idea of what the audience wanted to hear. It was an incredible talk for your first one. It was great. It really was. But this is important. Understand that a great speaker, and whoever had their hand up going, I'm a great speaker, you're a great storyteller. You're great on your feet. And you're always there to educate. I think there's one last one. Oh man, my remote's not working. Oh, this mic's not sounding good. Oh, I missed 2 or 3 slides. I'm sorry, there's a couple slides that are supposed to be in here I don't have in here. They don't know that. Don't tell them it's not right. No one knows that. Only you do. And the problem is most speakers start saying, oh, yeah, my back hurts. Well, so what? That's about you. I don't care. What do you mean your PowerPoint's not right? I don't care. It's about me. With them. What's in it for them? And if you start complaining about what's going on with you, they're not into you anymore. Super important. Because most speakers that think they're great have a tendency to talk too much about their issues, their problems, the situations with their deck, with their talk. No one cares. Go watch your favorite TED Talks. They don't get up there and start talking about issues on what's going on right now with them, unless it's part of their talk. You know, comedians do that. But I wanted to point these out, and I'm here to actually help you guys out, because I want all you guys to become great speakers. Bill.
Hey, I've been speaking for 30 years. I want to give you 3 more tips that I think are really helpful. Number 1, always call the AV person beforehand. Just don't assume that they know. I mean, you should know if your computer is compatible. You may have no idea what they have on stage. I always talk to them, not my assistant, I talk to them. Number 2, if at all possible, even if it's your friend sitting in the front, have somebody videotape you. Because when you watch yourself, you'll get sick. You will be your best, worst critic. I mean, honestly, the way that I think I became a better speaker was just watching how bad I was and realizing, like, don't do this anymore. Like, you'll see it. And then the third thing that really makes you honest, if you can get reviews, it's painful sometimes, but read them. Because it's easy to say, they're just haters. You know what? Once in a while, they're right. You know? So, you can throw away the haters, but sometimes you'll see, wow, you know what? Maybe that is good.
But you learn what you're good at, too. Like, I'm horrible at emceeing. I hate emceeing. So somebody hires me to be an MC, it's like, I know I'm going to fail.
But I'll tell you something, the first thing I did when I got an Extreme Makeover was I took acting classes. Because I was a dentist. Like, I had no business on TV, and I sucked. I mean, I really sucked. But when I saw what a potential it was for our company to grow, I took acting classes, hosting classes, teleprompting classes, and improv. Because I knew that if I could be better on TV, we'd sell more shit. And that's all I wanted to do. And it did. Yeah, it worked. I mean, we went from 75, we were at a plateau of 75 million. The first year I did Extreme Makeover, we hit 101. Then we did 135 million, and the last year I was on, we did almost 200 million in sales. People literally walked into their dentist and said, I want to be Zoom. The dentist like, what's Zoom? Then they called us and bought it. Be good.
Awesome. Anyone else for advice? Glenn?
So, yeah, a couple things. I was there when you did the talk. What was that?
Jim Quick.
Jim Quick, all right.
Superhero.
It was palatable. It was really cool. Everybody got up on stage. Everybody engaged, so that was awesome. We have such an amazing group here of men. And I just want to point out what John Lewis said, and I have been working with a lot of you, as you know, doing speaking. He's phenomenal in getting that message and really fine-tuning it down. And then he hands them to me, and I do visuals and everything. It really worked out with a great routine. And I just want to say that, you know, I'm here at your disposal. I'm here not to sell to you. I'm here to help you as a fellow metal member. And so my background is in creating the visuals for these presentations.
Wait, let me stress one thing, guys. A professional is expensive and amateur's a fortune. Most of you are not as good or even close to what Glenn can do. And it's worth the investment of this conference. Because when it looks great, it's worth it. Right?
Come see me after. You guys are great, and I love working with you.
Oh, real quick, we go to Fred.
Yeah, so I've had the privilege to be speaking for 25 years, and being on stages for most of my career.
By the way, very unique speech, too, because most people don't incorporate music the way you do.
Yeah, it's been, the last couple of years, my bookings have increased about 250%. Thank you, God, I'm very grateful. But there's one thing I wanted to just sort of add to the conversation. If you look at speakers' reels, you'll notice that most of the time the camera is exactly where that camera is, in the back, on a tripod, filming the back of everyone's heads. Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing is, and you said it very well, Ken, you said it's all about the audience. Mm-hmm. So there's a tendency for camera people to always be in the back, shooting at the speaker on stage. But what you gotta have, if possible, is have a cameraman kind of around this location.
Behind you, shooting the front end.
Shooting here, and since I'm playing a lot, they come up on stage dressed in black, so they blend in and they don't interrupt the shot, shooting at my hands and doing an IMAX. Now that's a luxury, that doesn't happen all the time. But having this camera off to the side is incredibly important, because when I go into the audience, the real money shot is the faces of the audience.
I agree.
And if you can get a lot of that in your speaker's reel, that's where it really matters.
But someone like Sasha could really help you on those elements that are needed.
He can, but he can't do anything if he doesn't have the footage. Right? So you got to get the footage, and I wanted to add that to the conversation.
I'll add two things.
Real quick, hang on. Tom?
Yeah, a couple of things. You know, I always make sure that I get to the event and I sit in the back, because it's about knowing your audience, but it's knowing your audience right then and knowing what the tone and the content is, so that there's either some conformity, or if you could hear the beat with some disruption that could occur, you could insert it, and you could do it casually in advance of getting that done. That's number one. Number two is, I think you'll see Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor speak. And it was an incredible experience. I mean, some of the best tips I've ever gotten was by watching others speak. And she inspired me to break away from the historical path that I had in terms of delivery and get out from behind the podium.
Oh, you always.
Right? And not only walk on the stage, but the past 3 speeches I've given, I've walked amongst the audience and touched people and asked opinion.
You weren't in metal when Charlie Sheen, not Charlie Sheen, Martin spoke, were you? Martin Sheen came to metal and spoke a few years ago. And who was there? Okay, good, then you'll remember. So he got up, he asked for a podium to be put on stage. And what he did was he walked up the stairs like this, and he stood behind the podium, and he opened up his sports jacket and pulled out a piece of paper and folded it, and he started reading with his hand shaking, and he goes, damn this, and he threw it down. He goes, let me tell you, and all of a sudden he turned in to the president in front of us, and he walked away from the podium. Right, but you're right. Get that podium on the way. Great panels, by the way. They have no tables, they have chairs, because there's nothing blocking the body. The body's your tool.
If you're talking about leadership, if you're talking about exceptional capacity, you have to be exceptional and show capacity. And by touching them and going in the midst, you're breaking that cloud.
So guys, we have to, my back, he ran over, and because of that, I want to make sure that we don't lose our privilege of being here in the theater. So, and I know we have more to talk about, that's why we have a great night on Sundays. It's in Palisades, it's easy to get to. I want to thank AJ and Tom Patterson for hanging out. And guys, Monday, it sounds like we're having a get together with you two. It sounds awesome too, guys. Thanks a lot for being part of